Ever noticed how South America has such extremes? On one side, you have the Atacama Desert, one of the driest places on Earth. On the other, the Amazon and Atlantic forests, where it rains almost every day. How can there be such a huge difference on the same continent? It's not magic, it's science. Winds, mountains, ocean currents, and even flying rivers. Today we're going to figure out why South America's geography is so special and how everything is connected. Get ready to understand how global forces create deserts and forests right next to each other. Ready for this adventure? Let's get started. This contrast isn't just a South American thing. Actually, if we look closely at other continents, we'll see a surprising pattern that shows up all over the world. It doesn't matter if we're talking about South America, Africa, Australia, or even parts of North America. We always find dry and wet areas arranged in a similar way. Take Africa, for example. The west side has the super dry Namib Desert, while the east, especially Mozambique, is covered in rainforests and gets a lot of rain. This difference is so clear, it almost seems planned. In Australia, the pattern repeats. The west is dry, with huge deserts and the famous outback, while the east is rainy, with forests and lively coastal cities. This isn't just by chance, it's a global pattern. Deserts are mostly found on the western coasts of continents, while forests and wet areas are on the eastern coasts, especially near the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. But why does this happen? It's all because of the universal rules of weather, mainly how air and ocean currents move. Winds and ocean currents carry moisture and heat in specific ways, creating dry and wet zones. Around 30 degrees latitude, both north and south, deserts form on the western coasts of continents. That's where we find some of the world's most famous deserts. The Atacama Desert in South America, the Namib Desert in Africa, Baja California in Mexico, and the Australian deserts all follow this exact pattern, located in similar parts of the world. It all starts with the movement of air and water, guided by the sun's energy and the Earth's spin. These things decide where it rains and where it's dry. Now, let's focus on the winds, the first piece of this climate puzzle that shapes the continents and their amazing contrasts. The trade winds are like highways of moisture blowing from the tropics towards the equator, all thanks to the sun and the Earth's spin. They pull moist air from the Atlantic deep into South America, especially into Brazil and the Amazon. These winds carry water vapor like giant sponges, dumping rain on the east coast and right into the heart of the continent. But if the winds are coming from the east, why is the west so dry? Well, there's a huge barrier in the way: the Andes Mountains. Before we get there, we need to understand why winds don't just go in a straight line. There's an invisible force at play. Let's find out what it is. The Earth spinning creates something called the Coriolis effect, which pushes winds off course. In the southern part of the world, they get pushed to the left, and in the northern part, they get pushed to the right. That's why the trade winds reach South America from the southeast and northeast, bringing all that moisture with them. The Coriolis effect also pushes ocean currents around, making them swirl in big circles that spread heat and moisture. In the South Atlantic, warm water flows down past Brazil while cold water moves up past Africa. This dance of winds and water decides where it rains and where it stays dry. But everything changes when these winds bump into the Andes Mountains. The Andes Mountains are like a giant stone wall. They block the moist winds coming from the Atlantic Ocean. When this moist air hits the Andes, it's forced to go up. It cools down, and then it rains on the eastern side. That's why the Amazon is so wet. After the air drops all its water, the dry air then goes down the western side, creating what we call a rain shadow. The Atacama Desert exists because it's right in this rain shadow. So, on one side, you have a rainforest and lots of rain. On the other, it's super dry. The Andes basically split the continent into two different climate zones. But there's still one more thing that makes the Atacama the driest desert on Earth. That secret comes from the ocean. Let's find out what it is. The Humboldt Current brings super cold water from Antarctica all the way up the coasts of Chile and Peru. It's like a giant natural air conditioner for the region. This cold air over the ocean doesn't rise, which creates something called a thermal inversion. This basically stops rain clouds from forming. So even though there's moisture, rain just can't happen. All you get is a low-lying fog, which they call camanchaca. This means the Atacama is blocked twice over. No rain from the east because of the Andes, and no rain from the west because of this cold current. That's why it's the driest desert in the world. If you're enjoying the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more cool facts. Now let's talk about the flying rivers of the Amazon. The Amazon doesn't just get humidity, it creates it. Imagine a forest so huge and full of life that it can make its own weather. Every day, the Amazon rainforest works like a giant green lung, breathing out and letting go of moisture into the air, making the area humid and cool, even with the hot tropical sun. The trees release billions of liters of water vapor every day, forming flying rivers in the sky. This amazing thing happens because the tree roots take in water from the ground, which is then let out by the leaves as vapor. So, the forest creates real invisible rivers that cross the sky, carrying moisture over long distances. These vapor rivers are carried by the winds into the middle of the continent, watering the central west, southeast and south of Brazil and neighboring countries. They travel thousands of kilometers, bringing life and richness to areas that, without this moisture, would be much drier and less productive. When they hit the Andes, some of this moisture is pushed south, feeding rains in faraway areas. The mountains act like a natural wall, sending the water-filled clouds to other places, making sure that rain reaches even spots far from the forest. Without the Amazon, a big part of South America would be much drier. The ground would crack, rivers would dry up, and farming would suffer from a lack of water. The forest is like a shield protecting against dryness, keeping the water balance of the continent. The forest is super important for the weather, for farming, and for getting water. It makes sure that crops grow, that animals have a place to live, and that cities have clean drinking water. Without the Amazon, life for millions of people would be much harder. Cutting down trees threatens this balance and can turn good land into dry, barren areas. When the trees disappear, the water cycle breaks, and the land loses its ability to support life. The risk of turning into a desert grows, causing problems for everyone. Protecting the Amazon means making sure there's rain and life for millions of people. Everything is connected. Every tree we protect is a promise for the future. For water, for food, and for balance across the entire South American continent. On one side, we have Brazil, touched by the warm Atlantic. Humid trade winds blow from the ocean, bringing a huge amount of water vapor. These winds travel thousands of kilometers, carrying moisture and heat, and when they reach the continent, they feed the rains that make Brazil a country of mighty rivers and dense forests. The Amazon, with its vast green expanse, constantly recycles water. Trees release vapor, forming clouds and causing almost daily rains. The climate is tropical, the forests are lush, and life thrives in every corner, creating one of the richest ecosystems on the planet. On the other side, there's the Atacama. Here, the Andes rise like a massive wall, blocking the moisture coming from the east. The heavy clouds can't get through, and dry air dominates the landscape. Plus, the Humboldt Current, coming from the Pacific, cools the air even more. The result is an arid, almost rainless climate, where the Atacama Desert stretches out as one of the driest places in the world. A mountain range separates two completely opposite worlds. On one side, an abundance of water and life. On the other, scarcity and extreme adaptation. In the east, the biodiversity is amazing. Rivers, lakes, and forests are home to thousands of species, and water is an abundant resource, supporting human and animal communities. But in the west, life has to adapt to extreme dryness. Tough plants like cacti and specialized animals can survive where almost nothing else grows. It all depends on where you are in relation to the Andes and which way the wind is blowing. This natural barrier decides the fate of every raindrop and every form of life. It's geography and physics, working together, that shape the life and climate of the entire region. It's not just a matter of luck or chance. If you climbed an Andean peak, you'd see the humid, vibrant forest on one side and the arid, silent desert on the other, as if they were two worlds separated by an invisible line. It's not luck, it's science. These are natural processes, predictable and fascinating, that explain why South America is so diverse. And this duality between plenty and scarcity defines South America, making it truly unique in the world. So now you know, the big difference between the Atacama and the Amazon comes from an amazing mix of winds, mountains, ocean currents, and the rainforest itself. The weather on one continent depends on things happening thousands of kilometers away. Keeping the Amazon healthy is super important for the rain that falls across all of Brazil and its neighboring countries. Nothing is alone. Everything is part of one big global system. I hope you enjoyed the journey. If you liked it, leave a comment and keep exploring the world with us. Click on another video for more mysteries of science and nature. See you next time.